I walked into that shelter for a Siberian Husky. I left with a dog whose screams would haunt me forever. Everyone says Huskies are dramatic, vocal, that they howl at everything. The shelter worker called him expressive, with a nervous smile, like it was just a breed quirk I needed to tolerate. But sometimes a husky isn't being dramatic. Sometimes they're begging you to understand something you won't realize until it's too late. I'd done everything right. Weeks of research, articles about the breed, how vocal they are, how much exercise they need. I was ready. I'd cleared my schedule for the first week, bought toys and a thick bed. I walked into that shelter prepared for husky drama. I wasn't prepared for trauma. The shelter was chaos. Dogs barking from every direction, tails wagging, paws scratching at kennel doors. Every single one screaming, "Choose me!" Except one, kennel number 7. A stunning Siberian husky with a black and white coat, the classic mask marking. Blue eyes that should have been mischievous but looked ancient. He wasn't barking, wasn't pacing. Just sitting there, perfectly still, watching me with an expression I couldn't name then, but understand now. Resignation. The volunteer noticed where I was looking. Her hand went to her neck, nervous. "That's Coda," she said, voice dropping. "He's expressive." "Expressive how?" She hesitated. "Separation anxiety. Gets vocal when people leave. But huskies are vocal, you know." The way she said it, fast and rehearsed, felt like a confession and a plea. "How long has he been here?" 3 weeks. Surrendered by his previous owner. She didn't elaborate. Her eyes told the story her mouth wouldn't. Another person who'd given up. Another person who'd walked away. I looked back at Coda. He was still staring, unblinking, and I felt something shift in my chest. He looked like waiting was all he knew how to do anymore. "I'll take him." Her eyes widened. "You sure?" "The separation anxiety." "I'm sure." I wasn't sure of anything except that this dog needed someone to stay. What I didn't know then was that Coda wasn't just vocal. He was screaming because every time a door closed, he didn't see a temporary goodbye. He saw an ending. The paperwork took 40 minutes. Medical history. Unknown. Behavioral notes. Requires experienced owner. Separation anxiety. Vocal distress. Sarah kept glancing up at me like she was waiting for me to change my mind. "He'll need patience," she said. "More than most." When she opened his kennel, Coda didn't rush out. He stood slowly, deliberately, like he'd done this before, and knew how it ended. The walk to my car was silent. No pulling, no sniffing, no curiosity. When I opened the back door, he jumped in without hesitation and sat perfectly still, staring at the headrest ahead. I looked at him through the rear-view mirror. Those blue eyes met mine, and for just a moment, I saw something flicker. Not hope. Recognition. Like he'd seen this scene before and was waiting for the part where I disappeared too. Coda didn't explore my apartment. He mapped it. Room by room, cataloging every corner, every door, every window. Not marking territory. Mapping exits. He circled the living room 3 times before settling near the couch, positioned where he could see both the front door and the hallway. The first night, I woke at 3 a.m. to find him sitting beside my bed, staring. Not panting, not whining, just watching, memorizing my face like he might never see it again. By day 3, the pattern was clear. Bathroom. He waited outside the door. Kitchen. He positioned himself in the doorway. I couldn't move without his silent surveillance. Friends called it protective. But Coda wasn't guarding me. He was tracking me, calculating the distance between us down to the inch. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I was brushing my teeth. Bathroom door closed when I heard it. Not a howl. Not a bark. A scream. High-pitched, raw, primal. the kind that bypasses your brain and hits your nervous system directly. I yanked the door open, toothpaste still on my hands. Coda stood in the hallway, body rigid, mouth open, eyes unseeing. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking through me, into some memory I couldn't access. Another scream tore from his throat, his whole body convulsing with the force of it. This wasn't husky drama. This was terror. Coda, I'm here, I said, dropping to my knees. He didn't hear me. Scream after scream, each one filling every corner of the apartment. When I touched his shoulder, he flinched. Then suddenly it stopped. He blinked, focused, saw me. His whole body sagged, and he pressed his head against my chest so hard I had to brace myself. His heart hammered against my palm. Mine hammered back. It's okay, I lied. You're okay. Neither of us believed it. I started sleeping on the floor when the screams got bad. I'd sit cross-legged, back against the bed frame, and wait. Coda would pace before finally sitting a few feet away, never touching, just close enough to confirm I was real. We're going to figure this out, I told him. I'm not going anywhere. He tilted his head, and for a second I thought I saw understanding. Then he looked away, and I wondered if dogs could learn to stop believing in promises. The breakthrough came on day 12. I was sitting on the floor when he walked over slowly and rested his chin on my knee. Just for a second. Then he pulled back, watching my face. I didn't move. Didn't reach. Good boy, I whispered. He did it again the next night. And the next. Small moments of trust, fragile as glass. 6 weeks in, the screams had faded to whimpers, then to quiet whining, then to almost nothing. I could shower with the door closed, and Coda would wait outside without falling apart. Progress. I started saying yes to things again. Coffee with friends, grocery runs, occasional after-work drinks at the bar down the street. I'm a marketing coordinator, and networking matters. Just an hour, 2 max. Coda would watch me gather my keys with those intense blue eyes, but he'd settle onto his bed without protest. Be right back, buddy, I'd say. And I always was. Every time I came home, he'd be waiting, tail wagging slowly. See? I thought. He's learning. He's healing. My boss commented on my improved mood. My mother stopped asking if the dog was too much. Even my skeptical best friend admitted, "You did good. You saved him." I believed her. I stopped watching for the signs, stopped sitting on the floor, started living normally again, confident that Coda had finally learned. I always came back. I didn't know time was running out. Tuesday morning, my alarm didn't go off. I woke 20 minutes late to 17 texts from my boss, the investor meeting, the one I'd been preparing for all month, the one that could make or break my promotion. I launched out of bed, calculating traffic and shower time. Coda sat in the hallway, watching with that familiar intensity. Not now, buddy, I muttered, rushing past him. No time for the careful routine, no time for reassurance. I showered in 4 minutes, threw on my outfit, grabbed my laptop bag. Keys. Where were my keys? I found them on the kitchen counter and scooped them up, the jangle cutting through my panic. I turned toward the door and froze. Coda stood in front of it, not blocking it. Just standing there, body stiff, eyes locked on mine. Not pleading, not angry, just knowing. Like he could see the next 10 hours and knew exactly how this ended. Be right back, I said. The words automatic, meaningless. I reached for the doorknob. His whole body went rigid. Coda, I have to go. You're fine. I love you. I left. I closed the door and heard nothing. No whimper, no scratch. Just silence. Heavy silence that followed me to my car. Mrs. Chen in 3B heard it first. She was watering her plants when the sound started, low and mournful, filtering through the walls. At first, she thought it was a car alarm. Then she realized it was coming from my apartment. By noon, the sound had changed. Not louder, worse, deeper, broken, like something vital was tearing apart with each breath. Marcus from 3D came home for lunch and heard it in the stairwell. "How long has that been going on?" Mrs. Chen checked her watch. 3 hours. 3 hours of a dog calling out for someone who wasn't coming. The sound wasn't consistent. It would stop for minutes, and Mrs. Chen would feel relief. Then it would start again, weaker now, ragged, like he was fighting his own body to make noise, fighting to be heard. By 2 p.m. the building was silent. Mrs. Chen stared at my door and felt cold dread settle in her stomach. I came home at 4:30 p.m., riding high on success. The meeting had gone perfectly. The investors loved our pitch. My boss said the word promotion with actual conviction. I'd forgotten entirely about the morning rush and the stiff way Coda had stood by the door. The silence hit me the second I opened the door. No click of nails rushing to greet me, no tail thumping. Nothing. "Coda?" My voice too loud. I dropped my bag. "Coda, I'm home." I found him at the door, the exact spot where I'd left him that morning. He was lying on his side, body curled slightly, eyes open and staring at nothing. His favorite toy, the worn blue rope from the first week, was inches from his nose, untouched. "No." The word came out broken. I dropped beside him, hands shaking as I reached for his chest. "No. No, please." His body was still warm, his fur still soft, but there was no heartbeat, no breath, no life. I pulled him into my lap, this beautiful creature who'd trusted me with his broken heart, and felt the weight of him. 50 pounds of fur and muscle and trauma. A soul that had waited at too many doors, been abandoned too many times, loved too hard and lost too much. "I came back," I whispered into his fur. "I always come back." But this time, I'd been too late. The vet's voice was gentle. Stress-induced cardiac failure, broken heart syndrome. In dogs with severe trauma history, prolonged separation panic can trigger it. "I'm so sorry." I sat there in that sterile room and realized I'd been fighting the wrong battle. I thought patience and love were enough, but learning requires time. It requires the belief that there will be a next time, and Coda had been abandoned too many times to believe in next times. That night, I sat on my living room floor, the same spot where Coda used to rest his chin on my knee, where he'd made the brave choice to trust me, inch by inch. I sat there and understood too late that "I'll be right back" was a concept that required faith. And faith was something Coda's previous owners had beaten out of him. I'd promised him I always came back. I'd meant it. I'd proven it dozens of times. But he didn't live long enough to believe it.